What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes reporting for duty here on a Monday, getting ready to have a great show. We have two guests. One of them's already there, as you can see him. His name is Eric Nicksick, general manager at Xtreme Couture and also one of the best coaches in the sport of mixed martial arts. He's the co-coach of the year for 2020 on MMA Junkie. And, of course, you saw him this past weekend in the corner of Francis Ngannou, as Francis Ngannou claimed the undisputed heavyweight title in the UFC. He defeated Stipe Miocic. Eric will be with us for the early part of this show, so we're not going to even have our formal intro or anything like that. But I do want to give a shout-out to Miesha Tate. She'll be joining us as well. 9:20 p.m. Pacific, 12:20 p.m. Eastern. She'll be our second guest. We'll unpack that card. But right now, let's get to it. We have a new champion in Francis Ngannou, and Eric, you are right there with him, man. You've been riding with this guy for the last couple years, and you guys made history on Saturday night.
We did it, George. We did it, man. Yeah, what a ride, what a journey. It couldn't happen to a better guy. He believed in the process. He understood what he had to put in to get where we got, and and I think now the real work begins, starting Monday, starting today.
Well, for crying out loud, let's enjoy this one. Oh, man, you got a vacation coming up. But you know what's funny is usually the media says what you say. So Francis will sit down and we'll go, what's next? And the fighter's like, I just fucking won. Let me enjoy this one, And Here you already got the mentality of the work starts on Monday because, people are going to be gunning after Francis, John Jones, Derek Lewis, Alexander Volkov, maybe even Stipe Miocic alone. But we'll get to that in just a second, get your thoughts. You're part of the team. But going back to Saturday, first things first, the walkout, what was the final thing you remember saying to him? Maybe it was in the embrace or maybe it was during the walkout. What did you guys exchange before, he was getting set to jump into the octagon?
It was a undeniable feeling that we felt that the universe had already written this for us, that we just knew we had to go out and execute the game plan, and the title was a formality. We're just going to go pick it up and collect it. So we just everything was calm, man. I mean, everything was calm. All the coaching staff, Francis, the mentality was all in the same wavelength. One guy wasn't nervous, one guy wasn't over excited or stepping outside the comfort zone. We were calm, cool, collect, man. And I just gave him a big old hug, told him I loved him, and this was his destiny. Just to go pick it up, go collect it. That was really it. But for the most part, everything was just smooth.
Glad you said the word calm, because that's exactly what I was thinking, was how calm he was, how disciplined he was, how patient he was, because when he came out, he landed some early strikes where, well, first of all, Francis didn't just come out like a track star, like Usain Bolt. He usually comes out very, very fast, but this time he kind of eased into it. He knew he had to go 5 rounds, but at the same time, he gets an early strike. I think it hit Miocic behind the head. And, some of these sharks, man, they smell blood and they go for it. But I think he knew, well, that's not just a little catfish I'm going after. That's another shark. So I got to, bide my time. What was it like in the Apex that it was quiet where you guys could communicate? And what was it like for you watching your athlete, bide his time and take his time and not just all of a sudden go into these bursts?
Well, that's all by design. So you nailed it on the head, because if our corner from the walkout, from the locker room, from in the corner when the fight's going on, if we are nervous and yelling and screaming and making our fighter not calm and come out of that game plan, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So, we spoke about that how important it was. Like, I didn't want a bunch of guys yelling. Even Usman for a minute there was like, and I was like, hey, nothing. Don't just let me talk. You know what I mean? Just because we wanted to keep that same measured approach. Because if one guy starts going crazy and yelling something, then you reflect that onto your fighter. So it was very important for us to all kind of just remain calm and keep that focus. Our main priority, we had it broken down like an outline, like systematic of how we wanted to approach this fight. And number one was cage control. get in the cage, apply dominance, keep center of that cage, and everything else will fall into place as the game plan kind of unfolded. And that's exactly what he did. He listened to everything that we had to do, and that's kind of how you see that snowball effect in the ball roll, because it was like that, you scheme your first 10 plays in football, and that first play went for 35 yards.
Love it. Love the football reference. All right. So now let's get to a few things that I want to ask you as far as what happened in the first fight. How was it going to unfold in the second, and how you guys addressed it? Because even though this is no secret, you're a good friend of the show, you're a good friend of Goes and I. When it comes to that type of stuff, that's stuff that stays internal with you. So now we get to ask you, and maybe you can divulge some, and maybe you can't, because obviously these game plans, some of it carries over. But in the first fight, what hurt Francis a lot was cardio. And I think that's something he's honestly started to answer in these fights between the first fight with Miocic and this last fight. But that was one. And then two was wrestling, takedown defense, all that. Man, he was on point with wrestling because he stopped that one takedown. And not only did he stop it, he had a really nice sprawl technique, And he did a quick Lance Palmer-esque type back take, and was very efficient with his strikes. But then again, when that moment wasn't for him, just like that first strike we talked about, he backed out and it looked like it was calm Francis. You know what I mean? So he was probably addressing that energy bar. But can you talk about that work in the wrestling and in the cardio department that you guys addressed here for Francis Ngannou?
Well, he's talked about not liking to watch that first fight. And I think that's fair if he doesn't want to watch it, but that's my job, right? And I'm not exaggerating when I say this to you guys. You can ask my wife. I watch that fight every night before bed. The Stipe and Francis fight, number one. I watched it every night before bed since January. It might be a little bit overdoing it. Probably was. But that's just my nature, and I like to try to formulate the best game plan possible. I like to look at patterns. I like to look at mannerisms. Every little thing, every little nuance. I just wanted to make sure that I had an understanding of who and what Stipe Miocic was and what type of fighter he is. He deserved that respect. So it was kind of our job as the coaching staff to take that information and apply it to our skill set in Francis. And I got to give so much credit to Dennis and Nate and those guys that run that wrestling room. Those guys ran those practices, and we were able to kind of take our game plan, talk to the coaching staff, and just say, hey, this is what we're trying to implement and how we want to improve in these areas. So they ran practice and drills based on what we wanted to try to do for this fight. And you saw it firsthand. We didn't want to really get in this engagement of wrestling, but we also wanted him to understand what our weight felt like. If you fail on a shot, how does the weight feel when we sprawl out on top of you? How do we spin off the back? But more importantly, we're going to make your ass pay for coming in here. You don't get to come in here for free. So if I continue to shoot and it's a failed takedown and I don't get punished for it, I'm going to keep coming back. I'm going to keep sticking my hand in the cookie jar. But if you get hit in the mouth for coming in here, we're going to make you pay, and we're going to make you think about coming back in here again. So all of the thought process and all of the gamemanship and everything we try to implement on that very first takedown was very important for us. It's like, we're going to stop this shit now, but we're going to make you pay for it and not want to come back here again.
Fucking hey, Eric, you're starting to sound like Belichick. Holy cow, this is some good stuff, man. And great shout out to the other coaches over at Xtreme, Nate Pettit and Dennis Davis. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Goes here in a sec, but I did want to ask you one thing about, I had heard that story that you watched the fight since the beginning of the year, once per night before you went to bed. Did you, even on fight week, did you still catch a few things that late into the process that you didn't catch in January and February? Because if you did, then it was worth it, Eric Nicksick.
Yeah, during the fight week, I actually just started delving into more. I watched all the Stipe's fights, but I started delving into more details on the Cormier stuff. Took a lot out of fight number 2, actually, from Cormier and Stipe. I just think there was a lot more offense by Cormier in the second fight. With more tape, I can break down. I even went back and watched the Stefan Struve fight when Stipe got dropped. I looked at what happened with Overeem when Overeem dropped him out of the southpaw cross. Just trying to find patterns and see if there's any little thing that I can pick up on. yeah, there was still some stuff even fight week that even myself and Markel and Randy Farish was in the room with me. Some other little things that I picked up on. They didn't show their face in the fight, but I had it in my back pocket if I needed it.
Eric, we were able to see your reaction as a coach, some of the other coaches, and even teammates on social media. We even saw Cameroon's reaction. But this fight in particular has been a family affair. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the family's reaction? Because I feel like for as much time as Francis Ngannou has spent with you in the gym, he's probably spent equal time with your family, being a family member. What was that family reaction like?
I felt it from here. I felt it. I felt it at the Apex. They're all here at the house. I just felt it, man. I just knew what it was going to be like in this environment, in the scene, especially with my crazy ass mom. But they all videotaped it. I saw like the eruption in the household. There's nothing better than knowing that your family supports this system, this machine of what we have. When you have everybody on board and everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction, it's very important, especially when it comes to your family, because like they're the most important part, and they buy in and they believe. They love him just as much as I do, and I think that's incredibly important to have when you have like what we have as a family, as a team. My mom is really close with Dewey Cooper. We all we're all one big happy family, and I think that's what is important, is to keep that same energy now that we won the title, that we have this family element. We keep that family tight, a tight close circle. But yeah, man, that victory a lot of ways goes to them. My family sacrifices a lot for their dad and for their husband to be in the situation that I am. So, it's nice to see them as happy as I was.
And Noxie boy got a shout out too.
Oh, bro, this kid thinks he's famous now. Yes. Yeah, he's sleeping right now. He's up in, he was actually sleeping on top of me. So I had to roll him off of me. But yeah, man, he literally thinks he's famous now. Yesterday he was telling me that I had to go get his shoes because I'm his servant and he's famous. And then last night I watched the fight for the first time here because I hadn't really seen the whole thing. And he kept asking me to fast forward to the part where Francis says his name. So this is going to be a definite issue.
He is famous, and he's Francis Ngannou's best friend.
Oh, man.
So he is famous because Francis Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet. It's a great title to have. So yeah, Noxie boy is famous. Sorry, go ahead.
Eric, I was going to ask you, I know you're leaving on vacation now for a little bit. Well, when you get back and it comes to be bedtime, are you putting in a tape of John Jones, Derek Lewis, or even Stipe?
Well, since nothing's signed right now, my attention goes to Jeremy Kennedy and Kai Kamaka and Maki. We all have fights coming up, so those guys have been getting, they're kind of the short end of the stick, if you will, from their coach's perspective. How involved I like to be. So Jeremy's got a big fight coming up in Bellator with Adam Boric. He comes from a great camp out of Sanford MMA. So I've been doing, my homework on those guys as well. But now really my focus will center up on those guys. And then once Francis gets a deal signed, then yeah, absolutely. The trend will restart for sure for me.
A lot of news coming out of the Xtreme Couture camp. And one thing that was out there, Miesha Tate's back. And I was just curious. I know you've had a previous relationship with Miesha Tate helping her out. Will you be in the corner at all? Has she talked about who her team will be going forward?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I just told her whatever she needed. It's all hands on deck. I knew what her goals were when she came back to Vegas. We kept everything under wraps. She came in the office and just sat down and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Obviously being a mother, her body has changed a lot. She doesn't really know, where she fit in the room yet. She wanted to get some sparring rounds in. So she really spent like 2 or 3 months just kind of seeing if this is actually something that she wants to do. She's one of my best friends, and we're very close, and I'm there for her with whatever she needs. I don't care who she uses, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm in her corner, whether I'm there or not,
Eric, so I was joking earlier, but what were you saying when you were doing that to the camera? Do I have to wait until they have that reaction video that they put? I forget what, but do I have to wait till? or what? Because I couldn't make out any audio.
Yeah, I just said no more talking. I said no more talking, no more doubting, no more talking. I definitely got my emotions took the best of me in that moment. I think there was so much pressure on us all during fight week. You hear a lot of the chatter, a lot of noise. You just try not to focus in on it, but it is engulfing. People writing on you, telling you guys that you're not capable of winning, you're not being able to beat Stipe. You guys can't wrestle. You guys can't do this. You guys can't do that. And it was nice to shut those doubters up. And I think that moment was kind of like, you know what? This is our moment now. This is our time. So, keep doubting us. That's what we need. That doubt motivates me. I'm not built in the regards if you want to talk shit that I'm going to back down and not want to rise to the occasion. I need you to talk shit because that's what motivates me. I want to prove you guys wrong.
So that was a message to the haters that were coming at you. Was this like social media? They were blasting you? Was it Stipe fans, or was it just fans in general that maybe don't have a liking to you, the gym, and Ngannou? Can you be more specific?
Whoever wants it, they can take it. I don't really care. But there's doubters everywhere. There's doubters even in our own gym. I've heard it. I heard it through the ranks. There's doubters everywhere, and that's fine. I mean, a lot of the criticism was fair, guys. Like, people, hey, we haven't seen this guy wrestle. We haven't seen this. We haven't seen that. But it was the way it was delivered a lot of times. It wasn't like with like we just haven't seen this yet. And this is what it was like. They can't, they won't, they this, they that. And that's where I just kind of like, you know what, man, screw you guys. We're going to prove you guys wrong. This guy's putting in all the work. These coaches work hard. Our training partners worked hard, and everybody was just wanting this just as bad as myself and Francis. So just being able to prove those guys wrong, it was a good moment for us, for sure.
How will this lift the gym? This is the first UFC champion you've had, I think, in about 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. You had a few of them compete for the title. They've come up a little short, but I think since Miesha Tate, this might be the first one since her.
First one since Miesha, yeah. So, just seeing that firsthand, what Miesha brought back to the room, and just how important that was, because Miesha did a great job of involving the entire gym, right? So you could have been just a member in the cardio kickboxing class. Miesha made it a point to come and tell those people thank you, because that love that she felt throughout the whole camp, and then after winning the fight was imperative. Like you can feel it, and as a coaching staff and as a fighter, that's what you want. You want to feel like your team is behind you and you have something you're fighting for. So being able to come back to the gym just brought so many good raw emotions for everybody involved. Everybody felt like they were a part of that win. So, and I think that's exactly the way Francis handles the situation too. He really loves that gym, that team. You see him bouncing around the kids' classes all the time. Like some of my best friends I grew up with, all their kids train at my gym, and all those kids, they just absolutely love Francis. So, yeah, it's gonna definitely, rising tide raises all ships. So, yeah, it's definitely gonna bring a lot of notoriety and love and fanfare to the gym.
Have you talked to the founder of the gym, Randy Couture? This is a big one. This is, like I say, Miesha was the last one, but there's been others, including Randy himself. Have you talked to him and Ryan and how they're feeling? Because again, the Xtreme Couture gym, is on the map again. I'm not saying it ever left, but I'm saying with an actual champion from the top organization.
Oh yeah, I talked to him. Yeah, I talked to him all week actually. And he's an invaluable resource for me. And sometimes, like, I forget how valuable he is to have an asset. He's been through all this stuff, so if I have any doubts, any questions, any thoughts, any concerns, or I just need a friend to talk to, I just reach out to Randy, and what better resource to have than the Hall of Famer and a guy who's lived this life and been through it all. So there's areas that I will never understand that he helps me understand. But there was a moment there where, I wanted to share with him, because the first time I ever walked into Xtreme Couture, the very first time, Randy was getting ready for Tim Sylvia. And we won that title. He won the heavyweight belt. He took that belt from Tim Sylvia. So this belt for me was very special because it's come full circle. I was a kid, didn't know anything really. He took me under his wing, and I went and got that belt back for him.
Man, that's awesome. And we're stoked for you, your family, the whole team Ngannou, Xtreme Couture. It was really, really an emotional night. on Saturday night. I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you was, what were you feeling as a coach? What was your emotion? Well, I mean, you probably had a lot of emotions, but were you more scared, nervous, calm, confident? Like, what do you think you were the most as he entered and you guys were facing the greatest of all time for MMA heavyweight, Stipe Miocic?
I just had this weird tunnel vision, to be honest with you. I mean, I wish I had some sort of emotions, but I think, I don't know, man, it sounds weird, but I just get that, like, I don't know if I want to say serial killer moment, but I just zone right in, man. I don't see anything else but the job at hand and dead red. So, winning it, there was obviously emotions after, but for the most part, I just was kind of just going about my business and understand the task at hand and what we wanted to accomplish, Oh, there's Noxie screaming away up there. Come here, Noxie boy. Come here, Bubba. Come here.
You had that moment where you got to lift them. I mean, you experienced so much on Saturday night. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was the best feeling in the world, being able to pick that guy up and not throw my back out.
Yeah. I kind of did something similar with Frank Trigg in Icon in Hawaii when he beat Mayhem Miller. I was the first one in there, and I picked up Trigg. Didn't do a good job of it. His rib was hurting, and I just underestimated how heavy he gets after a weigh-in, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of it. Kind of reminded me a little bit of that.
Yeah,
but
Coach Frank reached out to me too, man. That was great to hear from Trigg. Trigg reached out to me right away, man. He's one of my good buddies, and he was been a pivotal role in me being the coach I am today. So when Trigg reached out, it was good to hear from that guy.
Is Noxie going to make a quick cameo?
Come here, Noxie boy. They want to meet you real quick. Come here, Bubba. You better hurry. You're famous, dude. All the people want to meet you. Well, then we got to go because they're on air. All right. Sorry, dude. You can't be famous anymore.
He'll be on the next one then. Hey, man, listen, family time is important, so enjoy your vacation and enjoy the fruits of your labor. You put in some hard work, and you guys did it on Saturday night. Congratulations again.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys, and no place I'd rather be than here with you guys.